Hi, I'm Rob Grant with Nation's Photo Lab. We're doing corporate headshots today of our entire staff. This is the setup that I'm using. I've got a main light, I've got a reflector. At the moment we're shooting on a white background. We also are doing some shooting on blue. And I've got a background light here. My subjects are going to be sitting here on the stool and I'm over here. And I can also tell you individually about each item. Okay, for the main light here, I'm using a Nikon SB-910 flash. It's in this halo softbox here. It's about 45 degrees off center here for the subject, just to give a little bit of highlight and shadow, so it's not flat lit, it's a little bit more flattering. One of the things I like about using the Nikon flashes is that, well, again, it's quick and easy to use, and I don't have to worry about people tripping over cords, but I can also control it through my PocketWizards here without any cords run. And not only can I trigger it from here, but I can actually control the exposure with this AC3 controller right here. So I can turn on and off different channels, and I can change the exposure right here on these little dials. So I can very quickly control a variety of lights. Makes it fast and easy for when you're doing the portrait session. So the settings I'm using today, I'm at ISO 100. I want the finest low grain quality. I don't need a higher ISO, so I'm going with ISO 100 on my Nikon D750. My fastest sync speed, which is 200th a second, and I'm at an aperture of f5.6. I don't need more depth of field today. I just want their eyes all the way through to their ears to be in focus. And I don't want to shoot a really shallow depth of field in this case, although you could. That's another style, just to have the eyes in focus and have the rest blur out. But I want a little bit more depth of field than that. All right, the other equipment that I'm using here is this reflector. So since my main light is coming in at a 45-degree angle, I want that highlight and shadow on their face to make it look a little more flattering and interesting, but I don't want too much shadow on the other side of the face. So so the light will come in at an angle here, hit the reflector, and fill in the shadow side of my subject's face. You could also use another light as a fill light, but in this case it was just nice and easy just to use a reflector to take care of that for me. There's a variety of reflectors that you can use. In this case I have a soft white here, and there's also a more of a silver side on the other that's a little, puts off a little bit more light, but it's also a little harsher. This is a nice soft fill, and that's all I needed for today. Today we're shooting on a white backdrop, and it's important that you put light on the backdrop because otherwise it will turn gray. My main light is going to be set for exposure right here, and the backdrop is probably 3 feet or so beyond it. So if I don't light that backdrop, it will go darker, which a white would turn into gray, and that's not what we want. So to solve that problem, I have another flash down here, another Nikon SB-910 on a PocketWizard on a little stand, just aimed up, and it's just gonna put enough light on it. It's about a stopper or so, stopper 2 brighter than my main light, so that's gonna take that up to a nice white background. And between the two exposures, it looks great. We have our subject perfectly lit, and then we have the background that is a nice white color. So we also did some shots on blue, and in that case, it was a very light blue background. And so if I overlit that light blue background, it would turn practically white. If I exposed it just right, it was that nice light blue, and if I underexposed it, it would be a darker blue. So you can control the color of your background depending on how much light you hit it with. And so in that case, I definitely lowered the background light significantly, the exposure, when I was using the blue. But when I was shooting with the white background, I had to bring the exposure up brighter than my main light, so I knew that that background was a nice pure white. So the lens I'm using today is a Nikon 105. It's actually a great macro lens, but it's an incredible macro lens. It's super sharp, but it's also a wonderful portrait lens at 105mm. It's a great focal length for doing portraits. It doesn't distort the face. If you use a wide angle and get too close to people, it really distorts their face, makes their nose look bigger. You can also use a longer telephoto, but then you're farther away from your subjects. So 105 is a great compromise, particularly for the tight headshots. Today we were shooting from here to about here, pretty tight headshot, and the 105 was perfect for that. The other great thing about using a fixed focal length is I can't make the mistake of not paying attention and zooming in and out, and then you would have some people a little wider and more people telephoto, and the head sizes would be different on the final thing. I wanted all the different people photographed to be the same proportions, and so having a fixed 105 worked great for that, and it's a wonderful portrait lens, very flattering and sharp. So again, this is Rob Grant with Nation's Photo Lab. I'm a photo specialist here. I'm also a professional photographer. I shoot 50-some weddings per year, as well as working at Nation's Photo Lab, and I hope you found these tips helpful.